Let me start with something calm, not dramatic. Etsy search isn't broken. It's not secretly punishing you. It's not deciding to hide your work for no reason. What usually feels broken is how listings are structured underneath. And that difference matters. Because when something feels random, people start changing everything. Titles, tags, photos, prices, all at once. And that actually makes it harder to see what's happening. So before fixing anything, we need to slow down and look at structure. Most sellers don't arrive at this question lightly. They arrive tired. You post a listing, it gets views, maybe a few favorites. Then it fades. And the natural conclusion is that search stopped working. But search systems don't really behave like switches. They respond to patterns. When structure is unclear, the system can't stabilize around your listing. And when that happens, performance feels unpredictable, even when nothing is technically wrong. I see the same experience over and over. A listing launches with energy. There's movement. Then it slows. The seller tweaks it, then tweaks it again. Each tweak feels reasonable, but each one slightly resets how the listing is understood. Over time, the listing never settles long enough to build consistency. That's not search being broken. That's structure never being allowed to hold. Early views don't mean a listing is working. They usually mean the system is testing where the listing belongs. When structure is clear, that testing phase leads somewhere. When structure is mixed, the testing just keeps restarting. Sellers often misread early movement as success or failure, instead of what it really is, orientation. And if orientation keeps changing, nothing compounds. Each time you rewrite a title or shift keywords significantly, you're not polishing, you're reintroducing the listing. From the system's perspective, it's learning again. That doesn't mean editing is bad. It means constant restructuring prevents stability. Sellers usually do this with good intentions. But the effect is subtle erosion, not improvement. Structure isn't just SEO fields. It's how signals line up. Titles, tags, photos, category placement, even how similar your listings are to each other. When those elements point in the same direction, the system can place your work more confidently. When they don't, the listing floats. Floating feels like randomness from the outside. Search systems are conservative. They prefer clarity over cleverness. A listing that clearly belongs somewhere will often outperform one that tries to cover too much ground. Many sellers unintentionally widen their structure over time. More keywords, more ideas, more variations. That usually weakens signals instead of strengthening them. This is where structure shows up across a shop. When listings share a clear internal logic, they reinforce each other. The system learns faster. When every listing is structured differently, each one has to stand alone. That's exhausting for the seller and inefficient for search. Shops that feel lucky are usually just structurally consistent. Structure only works if it's allowed to sit. Time is part of the signal. If you don't let a structure remain intact long enough, you never see what it could have done. Sellers often interrupt the process because silence feels like failure. But silence is sometimes just the system settling. Editing feels like action, and action feels productive. That's why constant fixing is so common. But when structure is the issue, more edits don't add clarity. They remove it. The hardest part is doing less when you feel uncertain. But that's often where stability starts. Optimization assumes the foundation is sound. Structure comes first. Without it, optimization just rearranges confusion. Sellers who focus on structure early usually make fewer changes later. Sellers who skip structure spend months chasing small improvements that never stack. A strong listing usually communicates one main idea clearly. Not five. Not a collection of possibilities. When a listing's meaning is obvious, the system doesn't hesitate as much. Hesitation looks like slow decay over time. Clarity looks boring, but it works. Most listings don't fail suddenly. They drift. Performance softens. Visibility thins out. Sellers assume something external changed, but often the structure never stabilized in the first place. What you're seeing isn't a drop. It's unresolved placement. The frustrating thing about structure is that you can't see it directly. You only see symptoms, views without sales, bursts without follow-through. Those aren't algorithm tricks. They're signs that the system doesn't fully understand where your listing belongs yet. Once structure is clear, the most helpful thing is restraint. Fewer edits, fewer pivots, more patience. That doesn't feel active, but it gives the system room to learn. Stability doesn't come from effort. It comes from consistency. Sellers who slow down usually see clearer signals. Not always more views immediately, but more predictable behavior. Predictability is valuable. It lets you decide what to improve without guessing, and guessing is what burns people out. When structure is solid, you stop blaming search. You start understanding cause and effect. That's where confidence comes from, not because things are perfect, but because they make sense. And when things make sense, growth feels manageable. Etsy search isn't broken. Structure comes first. Everything else builds on that. More explanations like this coming to the channel.